Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris back here with another video about the V12 engine. Today I'm just going to be going over some more of the things I changed. I don't really think there are any new parts per se, so it's just updates since last week. Let's start with the cylinder head. I believe last week I had just kind of started with the version 2 of the cylinder head basically. Um, and the redesign does seem to be like something I'm going to be sticking with. Um, I did alter a couple things. I made it much shorter. The height was to an almost unreasonable degree too high. I also added some other features. I created this section thing here for a spring to rest in, and the what is this? The bolt holes for mounting to the engine block. I also inserted the what is it? The coolant ports here. I might actually have to extend this bottom part a little bit more, just so that the coolant ports have a greater reach. They're kind of shallow as of right now. Aside from that, as you might be able to tell, I changed the mechanism by which the what is it? Rocker arm connects to the valve instead of a hard connection like I had before, where the rocker arm was kind of directly mounted to something that the valve would be screwed into, this kind of plate thing here. I separated them and made this plate thing that would kind of screw into the valve, and it also has a little ridge in here for a spring to rest in. And of course, this way there aren't any locking parts because it's kind of a soft connection, not a hard connection. And the this plate over here on the rocker arm can just kind of slide across it. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the rocker arm assembly. Everything else is more or less, the cylinder head and rocker arm assembly, everything else has more or less stayed the same. Moving on to the main assembly. Let's give it a second to load. Alright. As you can see, I made a couple changes to the engine block here, most obviously of which is this kind of cutout for the cam gear and the crank gear for timing. I also changed the gears so that they're a little bit more suited to use with a chain. I'm gonna have to cut them out a little bit too, just so that there's room for a chain to fit, and also because this is unnecessarily thick. But yeah, that's pretty much that. This was done pretty much just by extruding out from the surface of the engine block. This also kind of helps because this way I was kind of thinking about how I might be able to get the what is it? The ports over here for the I'm at a loss for words. The coolant, that's right. So the coolant ports have to connect directly with one another. There's going to be a line that connects all of them across. And that way I can make a single port over here for coolant. And by extruding a little bit of a surface out here for the cylinder head, I'll have a little bit more room to work with that. Aside from that, I also extruded this surface up a little bit more and out. This way I have a little bit more room for screws to mount the bottom of the crankcase. And that's just, ideally that's just because I did actually buy a 3D printer this weekend. And so if I do want to assemble something like this, I want a little bit more room to work with as far as that goes. Aside from that, I didn't really change too much else. I didn't have a lot of time to work. Oh, actually, no, one more thing. Um, so the cylinder head, this was a really small thing actually, but the cylinder head was designed incorrectly. I'd kind of, I thought that, the offset of the cylinders in the cylinder head, which is kind of like the distance from the center of here to the edge, wouldn't matter between side to side, because if I just made it wrong for one side, I could apply it to the other side. But what I failed to realize is that this cylinder, or this bank of the engine block, is essentially a rotation of this bank about the origin. And so if I didn't make it correctly for one, I didn't make it correctly for the other either. In other words, as of right now, I could pretty much duplicate this part and put it in for the other bank, and it would work just as fine. But before, it wasn't good for either bank, so I had to completely shift everything over, and that actually posed several challenges with, you know, Fusion 360 being like, this doesn't work. So that was an issue. There were some minor redesigns I had with several parts, mostly on this end, but overall that is pretty much all I changed. Aside from that, I recently got a job, and it's full time, so it's taken a little bit of time out of this project, but I like to think I can balance, you know, work and play, so I don't expect that I'll stop doing this. Um, that being said, who knows? Anyway, I guess I'll see you guys next week, and thanks for watching.